I want to talk about a man. We'll call him Fred. And about 4 years ago, I saw him, and everything in me went, Shazam! That's just a beautiful person, and I just felt champagne bubbly, and I know at the time that I had a good 15 years of momentum behind me that was negative. And he manifested right out of my experience sort of as soon as he came in, before I got a chance to know him or he got a chance to know me. And then we talked about it, you and we talked about how you shouldn't get caught up on the form, and if thinking upon a person specifically caused negative feelings, then you should back off and think about the essence and what you liked about them and those kind of thoughts. So I tried that for a while. And I could never really feel as good as when I thought specifically about Fred. And then I judged myself for a long time, and I thought, I'm just not doing it right. And then about a year ago, I said, screw it, I'm just going to think of Fred. And I'm going to think of him in all the loving ways that I can imagine. And so I did that for a year, and it was wonderful. And 2 weeks ago, I saw him drive down my street, and I thought, it's worked, it's brilliant, And so I went up to where I saw he was staying, and I buzzed the buzzer, and I was like, hi, and I did not get the response that I had been imagining. In fact, it was very, weird. And then I thought this, and this is why I thought, okay, well, maybe I could get really upset about this and think I've really not done any of this right, or I could think, you know what, maybe he was caught off guard, and he doesn't know what a good idea I am and what a good idea we'd be. And so that made me feel better. But at the same time, then I thought, well, maybe I'm stopping, the real love of my life because of this specific thing, but I can't let go of the specific thing.
Well, the most important question that we want to put to you is, at what point did you decide to, instead of working it out vibrationally, to jump in with action? In other words, why was the action so compelling?
To go up to the buzzer that day, or?
Because you were creating it in thought.
Yes.
You'd been sort of working it around, and you'd finally found a way to relax. In other words, you've been working on this for a while, and some was not comfortable, and some thoughts were more comfortable, and some thoughts were less comfortable, and some thoughts. But you brought yourself into quite a place of comfort. And as you got yourself into quite a place of comfort, then you began seeing some evidence of your motion forward. And then, rather than letting the stream continue to carry you to the fruition that you're looking for, you must have lost faith in the stream's ability to take you where you wanted to go, and you decided to go ring the buzzer. In other words, so this is just our way of saying to you, you don't have the timing that the universe has. So now you want to say, well, is the universe really taking me to Fred? And we say, if you can trust that the universe knows all the good stuff you got from Fred, and all the good stuff you got from John, and all the good stuff you got from Jim, and all the good stuff you got. If you would accept that you've been sifting through the sands of men for quite a very long time, and that you have created a magnificent relationship of which Fred is a part, but not all-inclusive. In other words, there's stuff that Fred has that's really active and dominant in Fred that is nowhere a vibrational match to what's going on in your vibrational escrow. So meanwhile, the universe knows full well what you want and knows where all of it is, and is calling you toward it and giving you evidence that you are focusing well, but all of a sudden you want to jump in with both feet and with all of your action and go ring Fred's doorbell, and the universe is saying, wrong doorbell, wrong doorbell, wrong doorbell,
okay,
wrong doorbell.
This is the idea on that. I want to go, well, if Fred's not right for me, shouldn't I get to have some experience with Fred and then go, okay, no, thank you, Fred? Why does the universe get to say, Fred's not yours?
If everything in your vibration was the vibrational match to Fred in the way you have portrayed it with your words just now, you would already be in the midst of an extraordinary relationship with Fred. It's what's active in your vibration about Fred that you don't like that is caught in your vibrational craw. And we want you to step back from the person called Fred, whose real name shall be left nameless to protect the innocent. We want you to step back from the specifics of this and just accept that through all of this that you are creating something wonderful. What we're really encouraging you to is more patience and less action for a little while. But there's nothing wrong with the action. In other words, you jumped in with action, you got a rebuff or a response that you don't want, which kind of set you back a little bit. We're not encouraging you not to go ring the doorbell and take the action because you're doing something wrong and you'll mess up your creation. We are just encouraging you to let the flow carry you a little further until the inspiration to act is so compelling that nothing can keep you from it, because when you respond in action under those conditions, then you don't get the rebuffs. In other words, if you act too soon before the energy's lined up, you almost always get a backlash. And that is the whole point of the art of allowing. The art of allowing is just release the resistance and allow. Releasing resistance and allowing are the same thing. Release the resistance and therefore allow. 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 And as a stream begins to carry you, the ideas that then occur to you always bring you the results that you are wanting. It's not possible for you to not get what you're wanting. We're just asking you to look a little further down the road. We just want you to act less and create with your mind more. And you say, but Abraham, I was doing that, and frankly, I just got tired of doing that. And we say, you can't get tired of doing that, because that is the work. Even now, you got to start again from where you are. You rang the doorbell, it didn't turn out well. Now you start again and you say, it was easier for me before I rang the doorbell. Now I've got that to overcome. And we say, but still you can, but still you can, but still you can. And as you do, more things will come your way.
I want to know, I guess, how I do let go, because there's a part of me that's very tired. And not just from this particular person, but of wanting that match. And I want to be able then, if I have to let go of Fred, if Fred can't be in my future for whatever reason,
well, we don't want you to let go of Fred, and we don't want you to let go of the essence of Fred. We don't want you to let go of the idea of Fred. We don't want you to let go of the idea of the relationship. We just want you to let go of the resistance, which means we want you to let go of the need to control Fred. How can you feel when you have let go of the control and you are letting the universe do its work on your behalf? How can you tell?
Well, I feel really good, and I feel relief, and I feel comfortable. Whenever thoughts of him come up and I feel comfortable, then I think that then I'm in the stream. I'm okay. I'm letting go.
And what kind of thoughts are you thinking, and how do they feel when you know that the opposite of that is happening?
When I think, oh God, he'll never like me, it's never going to happen, this is ridiculous, what am I doing? I'm fixated on something.
And which of those kinds of thoughts do you think most?
Well,
in terms of airtime, in other words,
yes,
percentage-wise, just on a normal day-to-day basis, do you have more positive feelings or negative feelings about the subject of relationship?
I have more concern generally about relationship.
More concern than?
Then, of course it's going to come. Of course Fred will come, or whoever
So
will
you're
come.
saying that more of the time you are pointed upstream than you are downstream. So that accounts for...
More of the time I'm working on it. Do you know what I mean? It's a constant working on with me.
All right, so now you've come around to the subject of this discussion.
Yes.
So is working on it helping?
Obviously not.
So how does one stop working on a situation? How do you stop doing that?
I guess you try to stop thinking about all of it altogether.
Well, what you do is you let your desire for relief be more important for now than your desire for Fred. Because both of them are in the same direction.
Right.
And that's why when you say, I'm just weary of this, we say, well, that's a very good sign. Because when you're weary of something, it means that you're getting ready to stop the struggle. You see, we want to convince you that you cannot not get what you want. Right. But you can prolong it by struggling against the current. And so the reason that we're belaboring this with you is because we want everybody to stop for a little bit and identify what are your reasons for pushing against things. In other words, we know that you ultimately want the relationship that you want, so what is it that makes you and almost everyone else unwilling to just let it go, to just drop it, to just say, all right, step 1, step 2, step 3. Step 1 is launch the desire, and boy have I done that. And step 2 is source answers it, which means it's already done, which means I'm being called toward it. And step 3 is I just have to allow myself to float freely on the current that's moving toward what I want in a free-flowing environment until I get there. If you know what you want is there and you know you're floating, then why would you feel anything but joy? And we say you wouldn't if you were floating. It's the paddling upstream thing that makes it not feel fun. So just stop that. We would encourage you to get off the subject for a while, find some other things that are important to you. Don't belabor it. Don't keep working at it. Don't keep up the struggle. You see, every subject is really two subjects, what is wanted and lack of it. And it's a fine line when you activate a subject of your desire to activate it with the flow or against the flow. And if your habit is to worry about it, then every time you activate it, you're going to worry about it. So you've got to find some way of disengaging from that need to do something about it. We don't want you to give up on your goal or give up on your desire. In fact, we know you can't. You cannot be less than life has caused you to become. But you can allow yourself to go toward it, or you can keep yourself from going toward it, and you can tell in the moment of the discussion which you are doing. So now give us some reassuring words that let us know that you are able to release the struggle and go with the flow.
I very much want to believe that I can look upon something and say I want that and not get wound up about it and not get tensed about it. I want to be able to create specifically one day. I want to figure out how I can create specifically and be letting go at the same time.
That's the question of the day. In fact, it's the question of this workshop. In fact, it's the question of creating. It's the best question we've ever heard. How do I find my place within this? If the universe is orchestrating and if I am deciding through the deciphering, then how do I know when I'm getting in my own way? And we say tension starts to come over you. How do I know when I've gotten out of the way? I start to feel more relaxed. How do I feel when I'm hindering it? I don't trust it. How do I feel when I'm helping it? I feel more trusting. How do I know when I'm going with the flow? It's fun. How do I know when I'm not? It isn't fun. How do I know when I've let go? I feel good. How do I know when I haven't let go? I feel tense. How do I know when I'm free-flowing? I feel ease. How do I know when I'm pushing against the current? I feel tense. How do I know when I'm succeeding and I'm going to get what I want? I'm flowing free. I'm flowing free. But Abraham, I'm flowing free, but I don't have Fred. So how do I know it's working? And we say, because you're flowing free.
Right.
Flowing free has to be what you're after.
Yes.
Fred's downstream. If you're flowing free and Fred's downstream, what's inevitably going to happen?
I'll run into him.
You will. And when you do, it won't be something that you've orchestrated in a way, it won't be false, it won't be contrived, it won't be manipulative, it will be a rendezvous that flowing streams have orchestrated. And when it happens, and I come into contact, and I recognize and I see through the way that I feel the perfection of this relationship, I won't say, are you Fred? Because it won't matter.
Right.